Once upon a time, in the village of Uli, lived the most beautiful maiden you would Once ever upon meet. A time, she was in the so village of Uli that the villagers would often sit beautiful maiden and make monetary bets on how much she was the dowry would cost. That the villagers would often sit and make monetary maidens wanted to be her on how much and the young men would cost were ready to do to marry the beautiful to marry her. Ijoma, on the other hand, was fully aware of the and the young men were ready to do anything in the village to marry her. And she loved every bit of it. On the other hand, was fully aware of the moments her mother Nneka beauty was causing her village, her entire and she loved every bit of it. My God, those were the moments her mother would call her when she prepared her for. You will marry a wealthy husband, my God, who will bring us all the wealth. Call her your late when father could not offer us. You will marry a wealthy husband, as who will bring us all the wealth. And Ijoma your late father could not offer into her heart every time she tell her. As she braided her hair, and Ijoma would take those words into her heart in life every time she heard them. Nneka had 3 children from her late husband. She began to believe 2 girls that was her only purpose in life. But Ijoma was her favorite. Nneka had 3 children from her late husband. Ijoma's siblings, 2 girls and 1 boy. Chidera and Ebere. But Ijoma was always treated like second-class citizens in their Ijoma's siblings. Their entire life's mission and Ebere was to make Ijoma happy. Treated like second-class citizens in their home. They had to sing or dance. Their entire life's mission was to make whatever Ijoma they ate at home was dependent on what Ijoma was craving. They had to sing or dance to her to make her smile. Instead of her whatever name. They ate at home because was their mother on what Ijoma was craving. Ijoma they referred that she belonged to royalty instead of her name. Because their mother insisted it would remind Ijoma and Ebere that she belonged to royalty to work or wealth, and their wages was used to take care of Ijoma. Would send Chidera and Ebere them as she to some villagers to work. And their wages was used to take care of Ijoma. Brings that man that encourage them all waiting for their money, saying, all our lives do not would worry. Change when your sister brings that man that all this all waiting for. Chidera and Ebere did not would change for the best, even though their mother all this treatment Ijoma. Chidera and Ebere did not her because they remembered their happy times even though their mother clearly favored and still saw her as their sister. They stayed close to her not just because they remembered their happy times together as kids. They knew Ijoma was also stuck in their mother's plans, not just the so they could not be angry their mother wanted her to be. Their strong bond. They knew Ijoma was also stuck in their mother's plans together, so they could not be angry. And it was finally time for Ijoma their strong bond as siblings. Nneka became even more determined together to find the right. When it was finally time for Ijoma, she was especially harsh. Nneka became even more determined to find the right Ijoma's hand in marriage. She was especially harsh. Are you not when the wrong type of men who has a shop close to the border to seek Ijoma's hand in marriage? Asked one suitor. Are you not who came for Ijoma, who has a shop? The man close to the border nodded, pleased that Nneka recognized him, who came for Ijoma. But then she burst the man confidently nodded, pleased that Nneka recognized him. Clay pots, but then she burst into mocking laughter. Someone who can continuously afford to buy food stuff for cooking, to cook inside but the pot. I am looking for someone who can continuously, she shouted, afford to buy food stuff. Some others would cook inside the pot, and she would angrily pour a huge drum of water over them. She shouted angrily, or splash paint. Some others would come, and she would angrily pour a huge drum of water over them. She would go ahead splash paint on the meal for the suitor, and when she was feeling she would add a lot of pepper into the meal. She would go ahead and when they requested for a meal for the suitor, she would laugh and ask. Then she would add a lot of pepper into the meal. After giving you free and food, when they requested for water, to give you free she water, she would laugh and ask. The villagers had mixed after giving you free food, you want me to give you free water. Some market sellers would joke severely about the situation. Mixed feelings about I can always count on Nneka to buy this paint. Some market sellers would joke severely about the situation, even though no one else I can always count on Nneka and to buy this paint for Ijoma's others fortunate suitors. Who does she even though no one else does? Is she the only one with a beautiful daughter? In fact, others would say, we are not interested anymore. Think she is. But she the only one with a beautiful daughter. When Ijoma took her usual evening stroll, the young men were captivated by her beauty all over again. When Ijoma took her usual evening stroll, the young men were captivated by her beauty all over again. Ijoma was the epitome of forgiving her mother's village of Uli. After all, her skin shimmered like polished ebony. Ijoma was the epitome of and radiant in the village under the sun. Her skin, bright eyes, polished sparkled like the clearest stars, and radiant. Her high under the bones and full lips, her big, bright eyes, sparkled like the clearest stars. Ijoma's long, flowing hair was decorated with and shiny beads and gold threads that caught the light. Ijoma's long, flowing hair was decorated with shiny beads and gold threads feel happy and enchanted. The light. And she carried when she smiled, her whole face lit up, that made her stand out wherever she went, feel happy and enchanted. One day, and she carried herself with finally came for Nneka, that made her stand out wherever she went for her long-awaited plans. One day, there was an extremely wealthy merchant called Kelechi to receive the reward for her long-awaited plans to do business. There was an extremely wealthy merchant. Kelechi was the richest man in the entire East, who came into Uli and to honor him business. With the king held an exclusive was the richest for him in the entire East. And in the evening, and to honor him, Anayo took him on a walk. The king held an exclusive banquet and walking behind them. And in the evening, warriors and the musician Anayo took him on a walk loud praises of the kingdom and Kelechi, and walking behind them were some warriors and the musician who sang loud praises of the king on an evening stroll together as they walked. From a distance, at the same time, the praises from the musician reached decided to go on an evening stroll together. She could not help but wonder how Kelechi the praises from the musician everyone from the East knew about him, and she could not help but wonder how Kelechi village. Everyone from the East knew about him. Can you hear what they are saying about him? But she had never seen him. She asked, he was not from her village in excitement. Those are the type of suitors. Can you hear what they are saying about that man? She asked her daughter, Mama, in excitement. A man like that will already have so many wives I want for you. Someone like that is not fit for me. Mama, she answered. A man like that will already have so many wives. Smiled at her daughter. Someone like that is not fit for me. My She answered her mother. She held her. Nneka smiled at her daughter who you are in confidence. And I was not insinuating that he is your husband. She held her. I was only referring to his riches. I am happy you know who you are. Anyways, let us hurry so we can catch a glimpse of this great man. I was only referring to his riches. They got close to the king and his guest. Let us hurry so we can catch a glimpse of this great man. Greeted politely. Eventually, and they got close to the king and his guest. Continue walking. So Kelechi called out to Ijoma politely, "Excuse me, young lady." Just as they were about to continue walking, Kelechi and the king called out to Ijoma glances. "Excuse me, young lady," he said to her. "Are you looking for Kelechi and the king exchanged glances Kelechi to acknowledge her, but he laughed gently and said, "Are you looking for a new Since my wife passed away, the king, I have not been interested in but he laughed gently and said, but I believe this since my wife passed away will be in I have not been interested in for my only child Chike. But I believe this beautiful maiden will be if anyone had told her that for my only child Chike would be chosen by Kelechi to marry his son. If anyone had told her all her hard work had finally would be chosen by Kelechi to marry his son, Kelechi informed Nneka that he would come all back with his son and finally paid off. To officially make their intention known, Kelechi informed Nneka until the agreement that he would come back with his son and king's men. To officially news rapidly spread around the village until the agreement was made. Many of the villagers became friendlier to Nneka. News rapidly spread around the village. The wealthy Kelechi. Many of the villagers became friendlier to Nneka. Spared no expense. He wanted to be friends with the in-law of the wealthy other children, who were now married. Nneka, on the other hand, and when that was not enough, she borrowed from people promising to other children, who were now married. She knew that once her daughter and when was that married was not into Kelechi's family, she borrowed from her financial worries to pay back over. She knew that once her daughter was married, Kelechi came with his kinsmen her financial
But
worries
when they
would be
all sat
over.
down,
2 weeks
Nneka
later,
noticed
as
that the men
promised,
he had come with
Kelechi came with
all
his
the same
kinsmen.
age as Kelechi.
But
When they
so
all
she
sat
asked,
down, Nneka noticed that the
Kelechi,
men he had come
you
with
said you
would
were
be
all
coming
the
with
same
your
age
son,
as Kelechi,
but I have not seen him.
so she asked,
Or is he on his way?
Kelechi, you
Kelechi
said you would
smiled
be
and
coming with your
responded,
son,
but I have not seen him.
apologies, my in-law.
Or is he on
You
his
know
way?
my son Chike is the
Kelechi
heir to
smiled
all
and
my wealth.
responded. He had
Apologies,
to attend
my
to
in-law.
urgent business matters
You know my
in
son
a distant
Chike
village,
is the heir to
but
all
he
my
trusts
wealth.
my decision. He had to attend
Nneka
to
laughed out
urgent
loud
business
and said,
matters in a distant
of
village.
course,
I understand.
but he trusts my decision.
After all, he will be here for the
Nneka
wedding.
laughed out loud
We
and
can
said,
do without him today.
of course,
I understand.
But Chidera Ijeoma's
After all,
brother was not
he will be here for
satisfied
the
with the
wedding.
answer.
We can do without him
But
today. Should Chike not
Chidera
see
Ijeoma's
his bride
brother
before
was not
you pay the
satisfied
dowry
with the
today?
answer, he asked.
But
And immediately,
Chike
Nneka
not
pinched
see
him to
his
shut
bride
up.
before you pay the dowry
My
today?
son,
He
Kelechi
asked.
answered. And
Nobody will
immediately,
see
Nneka
Ijeoma
pinched
and
him to shut
refuse
up.
her as their bride.
My son, he said.
Kelechi answered.
And everybody laughed.
Nobody
in
will
agreement.
see Ijeoma
And immediately,
and refuse her
the
as
dowry
their bride.
payment commenced, he said.
Soon
And
after
everybody
that,
laughed
a
in
date was
agreement.
chosen for the
And
wedding,
immediately,
and
the
preparations
dowry
were in
payment
full
commenced.
gear. Soon after
Nneka
that,
put her
a
daughter
date was chosen
through
for the
several
wedding,
expensive
and preparations
beauty
were in
treatments,
full gear.
and she spared no
Nneka
expense in
put
the
her
wedding
daughter
preparations through several
It just had to be
expensive
grand,
beauty treatments,
because the beauty
and she
from
spared
Uli
no
was
expense
getting
in
married
the wedding
to the great
preparations.
Chike. It just had to
In
be
the
grand,
midst of all these
because the beauty
preparations,
from Uli
Ijeoma
was getting
quietly
married
wonder
to the
about
great
her groom
Chike
and
what he looked like.
in the midst of
Yes,
all these
she was
preparations,
happy she would be married
Ijeoma
into
would
riches,
quietly
like
wonder
her mother
about her groom
desired, and what he looked
but
like.
secretly,
Yes,
she
was
also wanted
happy
to
would
love
be
and
married
be
into
loved
riches,
by her
like
future
her mother
husband.
desired.
And each
But
passing day,
secretly,
leading to the
she
wedding,
also wanted to love and be loved
by her future
when
husband.
the day finally came,
And each
she
passing
got
day,
dressed in the
leading
most
to the wedding,
beautiful attire,
her anticipation
and she was
grew.
adorned with the most
When the
royal
day
beads.
finally came,
She
several
got dressed
prestigious
in the
guests
most beautiful
invited by
attire,
Kelechi
and she was
flocked
adorned
Nneka's
with the most
compound,
royal
including
beads.
King Anayo.
Several prestigious
The
guests
visitors brought
invited by
many
Kelechi,
gifts,
and the
flocked
villagers
Nneka's
watched in
compound,
admiration
including
each time
King
someone
Anayo.
influential
The
arrived.
visitors brought many
But all
gifts,
that did not
and the
concern
villagers
Ijeoma
watched
so
in
much.
admiration each time
Several
someone
times,
influential
she would
arrived.
peek through the window of
But
the
all
room
that
she
did not
wanted
concern
Ijeoma
hoping
so
to see
much.
when Mazi Kelechi
Several
and his
times,
son would
she would
arrive.
peek through the window of the room
After
she
what
wanted
seemed
in
like
eternity
hoping to see
to
when
Ijeoma
Mazi Kelechi
and his
Chike
son
finally
would
arrived with his father. After
and
what
several
seemed
other
like
kinsmen.
eternity,
to
the
Ijeoma.
musician sang praises of
Chike
him and his
finally
father
arrived
as they
with his
walked
father
into the ceremony.
and several other kinsmen.
Ijeoma ran to the
The
window
musician
to
sang
catch a
praises
glimpse
of
of him
him and his father,
and when
as
she
they
did,
walked into
she
the
was
ceremony,
pleasantly
pleased.
Ijeoma ran to the window
Chike was a
to catch a
good-looking
glimpse
man,
of him,
well
and when
built
she
with
did,
a charming
she was
smile.
pleasantly
But
pleased.
despite his looks,
Chike was a
good-looking man,
Ijeoma could not
well
help
built
but wonder
with a
why he
charming
was
smile.
so plainly
But
dressed.
despite his
For
looks,
goodness sakes,
he was the
Ijeoma could
groom,
not help
but
but
she
wonder
overlooked
why
it
he
and
was
said
so
to herself,
plainly dressed.
I've always
For
heard
goodness
that
sakes,
wealthy people
he was the
do
groom,
not like to
but
be
she overlooked
overdressed.
it and said to
The
herself,
wedding ceremony
eventually
always
began,
heard that wealthy
and
people
Ijeoma was
do
ushered
not
out
like
to meet
to
her
be
husband.
overdressed.
The wedding
drums played
ceremony
beautifully,
eventually began,
blending with the
and
melodious
Ijeoma was
tune from
ushered
the
out to
African
meet her
flute.
husband. And Ijeoma
The
danced
drums played
elegantly,
beautifully,
swaying her
blending
hips
with the
to
melodious
the
tune
tune of the
from the
music.
African flute.
Afterwards, and Ijeoma
She
danced
handed the cup
elegantly,
filled with
swaying
wine
her hips
to Chike
to the
as
tune
tradition
of the music.
demanded, to
Afterwards,
signify that it was
she
her
handed
husband.
the cup
The whole
filled with
crowd
wine
cheered
to
in
Chike
excitement,
as tradition
but
demanded,
to Chike and
to
Ijeoma,
signify
the
that
world
it
was
was her
silent.
husband. And it was
The whole
only them
crowd
that
cheered in
existed.
excitement.
As their eyes
But to
met,
Chike and Ijeoma,
it was clear
the
they were
world was
attracted
silent
to each other.
and it was only them
One
that
would
existed.
believe
They had been in love
as their
for
eyes
many
met,
years.
it was clear they were
Indeed,
attracted
Kelechi
to each other.
perfectly
One would
matched the son
believe
they had
to
been
a
in
woman
love
he
for
knew
many
he would
years.
like.
The
Indeed,
marriage ceremony was
Kelechi
over, and
perfectly
Chike and
matched
his
his
bride
son
made their
to
way
a woman
home.
he knew he would
However,
like. Ijeoma
the
rode
marriage
in a
ceremony
separate
was over,
carriage while
and
Chike
and his
rode
bride
together
made
with
their way
Kelechi.
home.
Because
However,
they had urgent
Ijeoma
matters
rode
to
in a
address.
separate carriage.
When they
While
finally
Chike
arrived at
rode
Kelechi's
together
home,
with Kelechi,
Ijeoma was
because they had
stunned.
urgent
His
matters
home
to
was
address.
magnificent. When they finally
Nothing like
arrived
she
at
had seen
Kelechi's
before.
home, Ijeoma
Chike
was
went to his
stunned.
bride and said,
His home was
"My wife,
magnificent. Welcome
nothing
home.
like she had seen
The
before."
maid will usher you to
Chike
our
went to his
quarters.
bride and said,
Give me an hour to
"My
finish
wife,
my conversation with
welcome
my
home.
father. The
You will
maid
be
will
traveling
usher
tomorrow,
you to our
and
quarters.
this is the only chance
Give
I
me an
have,"
hour to finish
she
my
told her.
conversation with my
And
father.
Ijeoma blushed.
He will be
She
traveling tomorrow.
loved the way her
And
husband
this is the
spoke.
only chance I have.
As
He
instructed,
told her. The maid
and
ushered
Ijeoma
her into her
blushed.
quarters.
She loved
But
the
when
way her
Ijeoma
husband
entered,
spoke.
she was
As
alarmed.
instructed,
The
the maid
quarters
ushered
were
her into her
very
quarters.
plain. But when
Are we
Ijeoma
in the right
entered,
place?
she was
She
alarmed.
asked the
The
maid.
quarters were very
Yes,
plain.
this is Master Chike's
Are we in
quarters.
the right place?
The maid answered.
She asked
The maid.
Ijeoma asked her to
Yes,
leave, but she
this
was
is
still in
Master
shock.
Chike's quarters.
She stepped
The
outside
maid
the quarters
answered.
to ensure she was still in Mazi
Ijeoma
Kelechi's
asked her to
compound,
leave,
but she was
Chike's
still in
quarters
shock.
and the compound
She stepped outside
were like
the
two
quarters to
different
ensure she was
worlds.
still in Mazi Kelechi's
Well,
compound.
I guess this
Chike's
place was
quarters
lacking a
and the
woman's
compound
touch. Were like
now
two
that I am
different
here,
worlds.
I will beautify
Well,
it to my standard.
I guess this place was
she
lacking
said
a
to
woman's
herself.
touch.
Now
Ijeoma
that I am
decided
here,
to start
I
opening
will
the gifts
beautify it
she
to my
received from her
standard.
wedding,
She
while
said
she
to
waited
herself.
for Chike.
Ijeoma
There were a
decided
lot
to
of
start
gifts
opening
and
the
she could
gifts
not wait
she
to see
received from
what
her wedding
each contained.
while she waited for Chike.
Slowly, she
There were a
unwrapped
lot
them,
of gifts, and
revealing
she could not
pots,
wait to see
expensive
what each
materials,
contained,
and many more things.
Slowly,
But
she
she
unwrapped
soon
them,
got sleepy,
revealing
and in a
pots,
matter of time,
expensive
she lay
materials,
beside the
and
huge
many
pile
more
of
things,
gifts and
but
slept
she
off.
soon got sleepy.
Wake up!
And in a matter of time,
Ijeoma
she
heard
lay
someone
beside the
say in her
huge pile
sleep.
of gifts and
She
slept
rubbed
off.
her eyes and saw Chike
Wake up!
in front of her.
Ijeoma
She did not
heard
realize
someone
she
say in
had
her
slept
sleep.
off.
She rubbed
My
her eyes
husband
and saw Chike in
I was
front of
waiting
her.
for you, so I
She did
decided
not
to
realize
open
she
her
had
gifts
slept off.
while I waited.
My husband,
She said, as she yawned.
I was waiting for you,
But
so I
Chike
decided
was
to
not
open her
pleased.
gifts while I waited.
We should have discussed
She
this
said,
before you began.
as she yawned.
Do you not know that we
But
can
Chike
gift
was
these
not
items to
pleased.
others when we are
We
invited
should have
for occasions?
discussed this before
That
you
way
began.
we will save money.
Do you not know that we can
He
gift
said,
these items to
alarmed.
others when we are
Ijeoma
invited
was
for occasions?
confused at his
That way
answer.
we will save money.
But she decided to
He said,
not ask any more
alarmed.
questions.
I
Ijeoma
am
was
sorry.
confused at his
I
answer.
was not aware.
But
She
she
answered
decided to not ask
Chike
any more
felt
questions.
he might have been
I am
too
sorry.
harsh.
So
I was
he
not aware.
apologized.
She
Then he
answered him.
sat next to her
Chike
and said,
felt he might have been
"You
too
made
harsh.
such a beautiful
So he
bride.
apologized.
You are a
Then he
beautiful
sat
woman."
next to her
He
and said,
complimented.
and she
You
smiled
made
back at
such a
him.
beautiful bride.
Thank you.
You are a
She
beautiful
responded.
woman.
Then she
complimented.
looked at him and said,
And she smiled back at him.
you know, if I had met
Thank you
you
on the road.
she responded.
Judging from your attire,
Then she looked
I
at him
wouldn't
and
have
said,
known today was your wedding.
you know, if I
Chike
had
laughed.
met you on the road,
I'm
judging
a
from
very
your
simple
attire,
man. I wouldn't
why do I have to
known
spend
today was
all
your
that
wedding.
money on an
Chike
occasion
laughed. When I can simply
I'm a
wear
very
one of
simple
my
man.
pre-existing clothes.
Why do I have to spend
He
all that
responded.
money on an occasion?
When I can
You
simply
mean you
wear
did not
one
get
of my
new clothes for the
pre-existing
wedding?
clothes? He
Ijeoma
responded
asked.
in shock.
And
he
you
nodded
mean you
proudly
did
and
not
said,
get new clothes
I've
for
had
the wedding?
this attire for 3
Ijeoma
years,
asked.
and it has
in
served
shock.
me well.
And he nodded
I
proudly
believe
and said,
money should be
I've
kept
had
this
for
attire for 3
important
years,
purposes, and it has served
Did
me
you
well.
see the amount of
I
food
believe
items
money
my father
should
brought
be
to
kept
pay your dowry?
for
I
important
told him
purposes.
we cannot be wasting
Did
money
you see
like
the
that.
amount of food
And when he
items
insisted,
my
I
father brought
refused
to
to
pay
go
your
with
dowry?
him. I
He
told
also
him we
offered
cannot
to
be
get
wasting
me a
money
new
like that.
traditional attire
And when he
for
insisted,
today.
I
But I
refused
stood
to
my
go
ground
with him.
as always.
And
He
put
also
on the
offered to
attire I
get
have
me
on
a
now.
new
I
traditional
cannot be
attire
part
for
of
today.
such wasteful
But I
lifestyle.
stood my ground as always.
Ijeoma's
and
heart
put on the
began to
attire
beat
I
in
have
fear.
on now.
I cannot
What
be
had she
part of
gotten
such
herself
wasteful
into?
lifestyle.
Kelechi told her
Ijeoma's
mother
heart
that
began to
Chike
beat
was
in
on a
fear,
trip,
which was why
what
he
had she
was
gotten
not
herself
present
into?
at the dowry payments.
Kelechi told her mother
I'm
that
hungry,
Chike was on
she
a trip,
said, which was
finally
why he
finding
was
her
not
words.
present at the dowry payment.
Can I please get some corn
I'm
and
hungry,
pear to
she
eat?
said. She asked.
Finally finding her words.
No, pear
Can I
is
please
almost out
get
of
some
season.
corn and
So
pear
anyone you
to
find now
eat?
will be overpriced.
She asked.
I will
No,
tell the maids to prepare
pear is
yam
almost
for you.
out of season, Chike said.
So anyone you find
And
now will be
immediately,
overpriced.
he got up and walked away.
I will tell the maids
Ijoma
to prepare
began to
yam for
panic,
you, wondering
Chike said,
how she was going to
and
adjust
immediately,
to this
he
place.
got up and walked away.
All her life,
Ijoma
she
began
ate
to panic,
whatever she wanted,
wondering how
dressed
she was going to
beautifully,
adjust to
and
this
waited
place.
for a wealthy man
All
to
her
marry
life.
her. She ate
But
whatever
now,
she wanted.
she did not need a
Dressed
prophet
beautifully
to tell her that,
and waited for a
although
wealthy
she was
man
surrounded
to
by
marry her.
riches and wealth.
But now, she did not
need
have
a
access
prophet
to
tell her
because
that,
her husband,
although she was surrounded by
extremely
riches
stingy.
and wealth,
She
several
did not
days
have
passed,
access to it,
and each day
because her husband
revealed
was
new
extremely
sides of
stingy.
Chike.
Several
Several
days
days
discovered
passed,
that
and
her
each
husband
day
revealed
only
new
8
sides
pieces of
clothing,
clothing, which he
Ijoma
wore
soon
in a
discovered
strict
that
rotation.
her husband
On their quarters
only
were plain
8
pieces of
because
clothing,
Chike believed
which
that
he wore in a
decorations were a waste
strict
of money.
rotation. Are the
Their quarters
decorations
were
going to
plain
talk to me
because
when I
Chike
am
believed
bored?
that
He would
decorations
say,
were a waste of
whenever
money.
Ijoma asked him
Are
about
the
it.
decorations going to talk
Sometimes,
to me when I am
she
bored?
found his reasoning so
He would say,
ridiculous that she
whenever
wanted to
Ijoma
laugh.
asked him about
But
it.
then, realizing how much it
Sometimes
affected
she
her,
found his
the
reasoning
laughter
so
would
ridiculous
turn into
that she
tears.
wanted to laugh.
She had left most
But
of her
then,
clothing in
realizing
Uli,
how much it
hoping
affected
that
her,
her husband,
the laughter
would
would
buy her
turn into
luxurious
tears. New
She had
outfits.
left most of her clothing in
Chike's
Uli,
stingy nature
hoping that
quickly
her
began to
husband
place a
would buy
huge
her
strain
luxurious
on their
new
marriage.
outfits.
I do not
Chike's
understand why
stingy
you need
nature
all these things.
quickly began to
Chike
place a
would complain.
huge strain on
Even
their
when
marriage.
she asked for
I
basic
do not
necessities,
understand why you need all
we
these
need
things.
to save money,
Chike would
he would
complain.
say. Even when she
What are we
asked
even
for
saving for?
basic necessities,
Chike,
we
look
need
around.
to save money.
You can see
he
we
would
have
say.
enough money.
Let's
What are we
enjoy
even saving for?
ourselves a little.
Chike,
Ijoma
look around.
would argue.
You can see we have enough money.
Let's
Speak for
enjoy
yourself.
ourselves a
I am
little.
enjoying my life.
Ijoma
Just
would argue.
fine.
He would say with a laugh.
Speak for yourself.
Ijoma
became
enjoying
frustrated
my
and
life.
alone.
Just
Her
fine.
days were filled with
He would say
constant
with a laugh.
back and forth between
Ijoma
herself
became
and Chike,
frustrated and alone.
and she had no one to
Her
confide
days
in.
were filled with
Her
constant
father-in-law
back and
Kelechi
forth
had
between
left
herself
on a
and
long
Chike.
trip, and she had
Soon
no
after
one
her
to
wedding,
confide in.
as if
Her
he had known
father-in-law
what was
Kelechi
coming
and
had
wanted
left
to
on a
avoid it.
long trip. Soon
Desperate
after her
for
wedding,
companionship,
as if he
Ijoma
had
began
known
to
what
seek
was coming
solace
and
in
wanted
Amaka,
to avoid it.
an older maid who
Desperate
worked
for
in
companionship,
Kelechi's household.
Ijoma began to
Through her
seek
conversations
solace
with
in
Amaka,
Amaka.
an
Ijoma
older
learned
maid
more
who
about
worked
Chike's
in
past.
Kelechi's household.
Kelechi only
Through
met
her
his son 2
conversations
years
with
ago.
Amaka,
Ijoma
Amaka
learned
revealed,
more about
my
Chike's
master,
past.
Kelechi, and Chike's
Kelechi
mother
only met
were
his
young
son 2
lovers.
years ago.
When she
Amaka
got
revealed,
pregnant, she
my
ran away
master, Kelechi,
because
Kelechi's
and Chike's
parents
mother
threatened
were
her.
young lovers.
She was the daughter
When she got
of a
pregnant,
poor farmer.
she ran away.
Amaka explained
Because
that
Kelechi's
no one knew
parents
why Chike
threatened
was the
her.
way he was. She was the
But
daughter of a
Kelechi
poor
let him
farmer
be.
because he was
Amaka explained
overjoyed
that
to have
no
a
one
child.
knew why Chike was the way he
His
was.
wife had never born
But
him a child
Kelechi
before
let
she
him
passed
be.
away because he was
So when Chike
overjoyed
showed up
to have a child.
Kelechi celebrated
His
with
wife
a
had
feast.
never born him a child before
Amaka
she passed
also
away.
advised Ijoma
So when
to
Chike
learn
showed
bead
up,
making.
Kelechi
I
celebrated
can take
with
them
a
to the
feast.
market and sell for you.
Amaka
At least
also
you
advised
can use
Ijoma
the money
to
to
buy
buy
some
some
things
things
for yourself. She
I can take
suggested
them
to
to the market
Ijoma.
and sell for you.
Ijoma took
At least
Amaka's advice
you can
to
use
heart
the money to buy
and
some
began
things for
learning
yourself.
bead making
She
urgently.
suggested to Ijoma.
As she needed to earn some money
Ijoma
for
took
herself
Amaka's advice to heart
Meanwhile,
and began learning
back in
bead
Uli,
making urgently.
Nneka was
As she
growing
needed to earn some money
increasingly
for herself.
restless. It had
Meanwhile,
been 3 months
back
since
in
the
Uli,
wedding, and she
Nneka
had
was growing
expected to be
increasingly
swimming in wealth
restless.
by now.
It had been
The
3
people she had
months
borrowed money
since the
from were
wedding,
starting to demand
and she had
repayment.
expected to be
In
swimming in
desperation,
wealth by now.
she sent a message
The people
to
she
her
had
daughter
borrowed money from were
asking why
starting
she
to
had
demand
been left
repayment.
to suffer. In
Nneka
desperation,
was confident
she sent
that the
a
messenger
message
would
to her
return
daughter
with asking why
bags
she
of
had
cowries.
been left to suffer.
So she invited her creditors
Nneka was
to gather at her
confident
house
that the messenger
on the
would
same
return
evening
with
the messenger
many
would
bags
return.
of cowries, but she was
So she
in for a
invited her
shock.
creditors to gather at her
Instead
house
of bringing back
on
wealth,
the same evening
the messenger returned
returned
with sad news, but she
from
was
Ijeoma.
in for a shock.
Ijeoma narrated to
Instead
him
of bringing
how
back
pitiful
wealth,
her life
the messenger
was as a
returned
married
with
woman.
sad news from Ijeoma.
To make matters worse, Ijeoma
She even
narrated
went
to
so
him
far
how
as
pitiful
to ask her
her
mother
life
for a
was
loan
as a married
if she
woman.
had any money
To
to
make
spare.
matters worse,
She
Nneka
even
nearly
went so
fainted
far
when she
as to
heard the
ask her
news.
mother for a loan
In a
if
panic,
she had
she
any
tried
money
to
to
flee.
spare. But someone
Nneka
noticed
nearly
her
fainted
and alerted
when
the
she heard the
others,
news.
who quickly
In
chased
a
her down.
panic,
She
and
tried
when
to
they caught up
flee,
with her,
but
she
someone
pleaded
noticed her and
desperately,
alerted the others,
"Please,
who quickly chased
have
her
mercy
down.
on me." And when
I'm
they
an
caught
old
up with
woman,
her,
she
she
pleaded
cried desperately,
Were you young when you borrowed the
"Please,
money from us?
have mercy on me."
One of them
I'm an
fired
old
back at
woman,
her,
she
but she
cried.
continued to beg for
Were
more
you
time.
young when you borrowed the
And
money from
eventually,
us? They agreed
one of
to
them
give her a
fired back at
little
her,
longer.
but she continued to
Nneka
beg for more time.
immediately turned
And
to her other
eventually,
children for
they
help,
agreed to give her a
sharing with them
little
what
longer.
Ijeoma was going through.
Nneka
Immediately
Chidera,
turned
her
to her
eldest
other
son,
children for help,
spoke up angrily,
sharing with them what
Mama,
Ijeoma was going
I knew
through.
something was wrong. Chidera,
But you were
her
only
eldest
interested
son,
in money.
spoke up
Well,
angrily. We can't keep
Mama,
paying for your
I
mistakes.
knew something was wrong.
We'll give you
But
what
you
we
were
can,
only interested
and
in
then
money.
we'll send some money
Well,
to Ijeoma. We can't
we
keep
have
paying
our
for your
own
mistakes
families
now. We'll give you what
If
we
we pay
can,
off such a
and then we'll
huge
send
debt,
some money to
our own
Ijeoma.
families
We
will
have
suffer.
our own families now,
Chidera said.
If we pay off
Speaking
such
on
a
behalf
huge
of
debt,
his sister Ebere,
our own families
then she
will
added,
suffer. We have sacrificed
said,
enough over the
speaking
years
on
to
behalf of his
support
sister
your
Ebere,
plans, and we
then
can't
she
do
added,
it anymore. We have sacrificed
realizing
enough
she had
over
no
the
other
years
choice,
to support your
Nneka
plans, sold
and
her
we can't
only
do
plot of
it
land
anymore.
to pay off the debt.
Realizing she had
She
no
also
other
knew
choice,
she had to find a way to support
Nneka
herself,
sold her
only
only
plot of land
she decided
to
to
pay
sell
off the
fruits
debt.
in the market.
She also knew she had to
However,
find a way to
when
support
she
herself.
went to sell,
So
the
she
villagers
decided
began
to
to
sell
mock her.
fruits in the market. How can
However,
Kelechi's in-law
when she
be
went
selling
to sell,
fruits in the
the
market?
villagers began
They
to mock
asked
her.
amongst themselves. How can
Some of
Kelechi's
the men
in-law
she had once
be
looked
selling
down on
fruits in
would
the
deliberately
market?
buy from
They
her,
asked
only
amongst
to laugh
themselves.
in her face.
Some of the men she had
Nneka
once
felt
looked down on
humiliated,
would deliberately
but
buy
she
from
knew
her,
this was her
only
fate
to
now.
laugh in her face.
Moving forward,
She would
Nneka
live
felt
on the
humiliated,
profits from her fruit
but
business.
she knew this was
And
her
whatever
fate now.
income her children
Moving
sent
forward,
to her, she would live on the profits
as time
from her
passed,
fruit business.
Ijeoma
And whatever
mastered
income
the
her
art of
children
bead making
sent to her,
and was finally ready to sell her
as time
creations.
passed,
But
Ijeoma
before doing
mastered
so,
the art
she
of
decided to
bead
do
making
something
and was
unexpected.
finally ready to sell her
She
creations.
gifted the first piece
But before doing
to her
so,
husband. She decided to
I
do
thought
something
this would look good.
unexpected.
With that
She
white
gifted
attire
the first
you always
piece
wear on
to her
Sundays,
husband.
she said.
I thought
This would
Chike
look good.
carefully
With
examined
that
the
white
beads
attire
his
you always
eyes
wear on
narrowing
Sundays, as he took
she
them
said,
in.
Chike
This is
carefully
well
examined
crafted.
the beads,
He said,
his eyes
slowly,
narrowing,
as
holding
he
the
took them
beads
in.
up to the light.
This is well crafted.
But why would you spend your time
he
on
said,
something like
slowly,
this? Holding the
bead-making
beads up
won't
to
bring
the
us
light.
wealth.
But why
Ijeoma,
would you spend your
prepared
time
for
on
his
something
usual
like this?
frugality,
Replied
bead-making
gently,
won't bring us wealth.
It's not just about wealth,
Ijeoma,
my husband.
Prepared for his
I made
usual
this for you
frugality
because I care for
replied
you.
gently. I know you don't like
It's
to
not
spend
just
money
about
on
wealth,
things that
my
are not
husband.
necessary.
I made
But
this for you.
This is
because
a
I
small
care for you.
gift from me.
I know you
to
don't
show
like to
my
spend money on
appreciation for
things
you.
that are not necessary.
Chike was
But
silent for a
this is a
moment,
small gift,
clearly
from
taken
me
aback
to
by
show
her
my
sincerity.
appreciation for you.
Finally, he nodded.
Chike was silent for a
And to
moment,
Ijeoma's surprise,
clearly
put
taken
the
aback
beads
by her
around his
sincerity.
neck. Finally,
Thank
he
you,
nodded,
he said
and to
quietly,
Ijeoma's surprise,
almost
put the
awkwardly,
beads
as if
around
he
his
was
neck.
not used to expressing
Thank
gratitude. He said
Ijeoma
quietly,
smiled,
almost
feeling
awkwardly,
a small
as
victory
if he
in
was
her
not
heart.
used to
She
expressing
knew
gratitude.
this was just a tiny step.
Ijeoma smiled,
But it was a step,
feeling a small
nonetheless.
victory in her heart.
Days turned into
She
weeks.
knew this was just a
Ijeoma
tiny step,
continued
but it
to
was a
make
step
and sell beads,
nonetheless.
slowly
Days
accumulating
turned
enough
into
money
weeks.
to buy
and
small
Ijoma
things
continued
that brought her
to
joy,
make and sell beads
like a new piece of
slowly
cloth,
accumulating
and
enough
occasionally
money
to
she
buy
would give
small
Chike
things
one
that
item
brought her
or
joy,
the other.
like a new
She
piece of
noticed that
cloth,
he had begun
and
to
occasionally
open up to her
she
gradually.
would give Chike, for
one
example,
item or the
when
other.
he returned from work.
She noticed
He would
that
tell
he
her
had
all
begun
that
to
happened.
open up to her
He
gradually.
would even ask her
For
to
example,
visit him at work.
when he returned
so
from
they
work,
could spend more
he
time
would tell
together.
her all that happened.
One day,
He would
while
even
they sat
ask
under
her
the
to
tree,
visit him at work,
eating a meal,
so they could spend more
Ijoma
time together.
asked
Chike a question.
one day,
At the
while
risk
they
of
sat
spoiling
under
his
the
mood,
tree, eating a
Chike,
meal,
why are
Ijoma
you so
asked
focused on
Chike
saving
a
money?
question.
At the risk
It's
of
good to
spoiling
save,
his mood,
but yours seems
Chike,
like an obsession.
why are you so focused
Chike
on
seemed
saving money?
uncomfortable. It's good
He
to
wanted
save,
to run away
but
from the
yours
conversation,
seems like an
but
obsession.
he also felt like she was his
Chike
safe
seemed
space.
uncomfortable.
He
finally
wanted to run away
sighed,
from the
his
conversation,
voice low and filled
but
with
he also
emotion.
felt like she was his safe
It's
space.
my mother, he began.
He finally sighed,
His gaze
his voice
fixed on the
low and
ground.
filled with emotion.
When I was a child,
It's my mother.
she always
He
struggled to
began.
make ends meet.
His gaze
We
fixed
barely
on the
had
ground.
enough to eat.
When
And
I was a
she
child,
constantly worried
she
about
always
money.
struggled to make ends
It was a
meet.
hard life,
We barely had enough
and
to
she
eat.
would often tell me,
And
she constantly
Chike
worried about
never
money.
waste money.
It was a hard
Save
life.
every coin you earn.
And she would
Because
often tell me,
you never know when you might
Chike,
need it.
never waste
And
money.
when she was ill,
Save every
we did
coin
not
you
have
earn,
enough money to
because
treat her.
you never know when you might
Ijoma,
need it. She died because
and
the
when she
money
was
was
ill,
not enough to
we did
treat
not
her.
have enough money to treat
Ijoma
her.
felt pity in her heart.
Ijoma,
And she
hugged
died
him,
because the money was not
allowing
enough
Chike
to
to
treat
lean on
her.
her.
Ijoma
I'm
felt
sorry
pity
you
in
had
her
to
heart
go through that.
and hugged
She
him.
said,
I know
allowing
it makes
Chike
you
to
very
lean on her.
uncomfortable.
He
I'm
confessed,
sorry
you had to go
but
through that.
just maybe,
She said,
if I have
I know
enough
it makes
money,
you very
I can
uncomfortable.
always save the
He
people I love.
confessed.
But just
But my
maybe,
dear,
if I have enough
we are
money,
living
I
miserably.
can always save the people I
And
love.
what if money can't save your loved
But
one?
my dear,
At the end of the day,
we are living
what happens to
miserably.
all the money you saved?
And what if
She
money
responded to
can't
him,
save your loved one?
Chike
At
thought
the end of the
deeply.
day,
What
he had never
happens to all
imagined
the
a
money you
scenario
saved?
like that.
She responded to
And
him.
just like a miracle,
Chike thought deeply.
after a long period
He
of
had never
silence,
imagined
he
a
said to
scenario
her,
like that. You're
and
right.
just like a miracle,
I guess I
after
just
a
felt
long
stuck
period of
after I
silence,
lost my mother.
he said to her,
I promise you,
You're
my
right.
love, I would do
I
better.
guess I just felt stuck.
After I
Ijoma
lost my
smiled
mother.
reassuringly.
I promise you, my
We'll
love,
take it one step at
I
a
will
time.
do better.
We'll save for the future,
Ijoma,
but we'll also
smiled
make sure
reassuringly.
we enjoy the present.
We'll take it one step
Life
at a
is
time.
meant
to be lived.
We'll save for the
Chike,
future,
not
but
just
we'll also
survived.
make sure we enjoy the present.
Over the next few months,
Life is meant to be
Ijoma
lived.
and
Chike
not
worked
just
together to
survived.
reshift their lives.
Over the next few
Ijoma
months,
continued to expand
Ijoma
her
and
bead-making
Chike
business,
worked
bringing in
together
the
to
steady
reshape
income
their
that
lives.
allowed her
to buy
Ijoma
small
continued
luxuries
to
for their
expand
home.
her bead-making business.
She was careful
bringing
to make
in
sure
the
that
steady
every
income
purchase
that allowed
was
her
discussed
to
with
buy
Chike,
small luxuries for
easing
their
him
home.
into the idea. She was
That it was
careful
okay
to
to
make sure
spend
that
money on
every
things
purchase
that
was
brought
discussed
comfort
with
and
Chike,
joy.
easing him
Chike,
into
on
the
the other
idea,
hand, that
losing
it was
up as
okay to
promised.
spend money on things
After all,
that
he
brought
was never
comfort
really
and
stingy.
joy.
He was only
Chike,
scared
on the
for
other
the
hand,
future, losing up as promised.
He began to take better
After
care
all,
of
he
himself.
was never really stingy.
He bought his wife
He was only
what she
scared
needed
for the future
and provided for his
He
home.
began to
in
take
every
better
way
care of
a man
himself.
is required to.
He bought his wife what
Their
she
love
needed
blossomed
and provided
their
for his
relationship
home
deepened
in every way,
and they
a
lived
man is
happily
required to.
ever after.
Their love blossomed.
The moral lesson
Their
of this
relationship
story
deepened,
is that it is
and they
unwise
lived
for
happily
anyone to
ever
build their
after.
financial fantasies
The moral
on
lesson of
someone
this
else's
story
income
is that it is unwise.
The Bible says in
for
Proverbs
anyone
10
to
verse
build
4
their financial
that being
fantasies
lazy will make
on
you
someone
poor,
else's
and
income.
hard work will make
The
you
Bible
rich.
says in Proverbs
Instead
10
of
verse
viewing
4
someone as your
that being
ticket
lazy
to
will
a
make you
better
poor,
life, and hard
focus
work
on
will
working
make you
hard
rich.
and
Building
instead
your
of
own
viewing
future.
someone as your ticket
And with God's
to a
grace,
better life,
we can all find
focus
success.
on working hard and
Remember, there is
building your
dignity
own
in hard
future.
work. And with
Thank
God's
you for
grace,
watching today's
we
story.
can all find
If you
success.
enjoyed it,
Please
remember
like and
there
share
is
with your loved
dignity
ones
in hard work.
And let me know what you
Thank you
learned
for
in
watching
the
today's
comments.
story. If
I
you
always
enjoy hearing
please
from
like and
me
share
all.
with your loved ones.
Until next
And
time,
let me know what you learned
bye.
in the comments. I always enjoy hearing from you all. Until next time, bye.